The Enneagram labels Type 6 the Loyalist. While that title often suggests blind obedience or an unquestioning companion, the reality is far more complex. A close look at their actual behavior reveals a mind constantly scanning the horizon for the next hidden threat. This profile contains a fascinating contradiction. The personality type celebrated as the system's most fiercely dependable ally is simultaneously its most suspicious and doubting. Their entire outlook is built on a specific premise, that the world is inherently dangerous. Because they view their environment as volatile, they develop a desperate need to secure absolute stability. Every characteristic associated with the Type 6 operates as a defense mechanism. They are continuously building psychological armor to navigate a world they fundamentally do not trust. To maintain that armor, the Type 6 brain runs a relentless anticipation engine. They generate a constant stream of worst-case scenarios, mentally rehearsing every failure point so they can never be caught off guard. This fuels a specific trust paradox regarding authority. They want to rely on rules and leaders to keep them safe, yet their hypervigilance forces them to relentlessly question the true intentions of those very protectors. This friction leads to a defense mechanism called projection. A Type 6 finds nameless, internal anxiety intolerable, so their mind seeks a concrete explanation in the outside world. They essentially export their inner anxiety, convincing themselves that the person or the authority figure in front of them is the active source of the threat. Because they are always looking for the next point of failure, safety is never a permanent state. It is a moving target that requires exhausting, round-the-clock mental vigilance. When this anticipatory engine runs unchecked, it pulls the individual into a low mastery state. As we see in these columns, their behavior becomes entirely governed by fear rather than preparation. This unmanaged fear produces deep-seated trust issues. They become highly cynical and reactive, doubting both their own intuition and the motives of others, which eventually leads to isolation. The cognitive weight of these worst-case scenarios results in paralysis. They second-guess every decision, procrastinating endlessly to avoid making a fatal mistake. When things go wrong, this paralysis often turns into a search for a culprit. They find it difficult to let issues go, instead blaming themselves or those around them for the perceived failure. In their lowest state, the Type 6's quest for external security ironically builds a suffocating internal environment of constant instability and panic. However, that exact same mental machinery becomes their greatest asset when managed effectively. Paralyzing anxiety transforms into meticulous preparation. Their ability to foresee failure points allows them to build robust contingency plans that others often overlook. Within a group, they serve as analytical troubleshooters. Their natural skepticism allows them to bravely challenge the status quo if they believe a cause or a community is being put at risk. This is the foundation of their legendary loyalty. Once a Type 6 finally grants their trust, they transform into fiercely dependable, protective allies who will guard their circle through thick and thin. The evolved Type 6 moves beyond mere anticipation. They translate their foresight into structural protection, building the very shelters that ensure their entire circle survives the storm. Growth for a Type 6 requires deliberately bridging the gap between paralyzing fear and confident action. The first step is applying logic to their anxieties. By adopting the analytical traits of a Type 5, they can use objective data to determine if a looming fear is actually rational. They also need to balance their vigilance with spontaneity. By borrowing from the energy of a Type 7, they can learn to loosen up, have fun, and embrace a healthy level of optimism. Finally, they must practice decisive action. Mirroring the drive of a Type 3, they have to push themselves to reach for achievements without the safety net of endless second-guessing. Reaching mastery means consciously stepping outside the fortress of hypervigilance to prioritize rational data and decisive action over raw emotion. Looking at the high mastery column, we see the ultimate evolution of the Type 6. Here, they are calm, grounded, and faith-anchored. They don't stop seeing potential dangers, but use doubt for acute discernment, rather than justification for paralysis. This transition has a profound impact on their environment. They move through uncertainty with a quiet confidence that inspires trust in everyone around them. By overcoming their internal chaos, The ultimate loyalist radiates a steady presence, becoming the very anchor of stability they originally sought in the world.